So viewers, welcome to this very special episode. So many of you have been asking and we're delivering. We've got the wonderful Hayley Mears from 6 Underground, all about salon social media. We're so excited to have you here. Thank you, Hayley.
Hi, Hayley.
Having me. It's really great to chat to you guys.
Yeah.
Taking the time, thanks.
Our pleasure. Look, we have got a list of questions a mile long, but where we're going to start is, look, you're a hairdresser. You actually know what it's like behind the chair. You were, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get from there to your social media company?
Okay, look, I started hairdressing in the 90s, so it was a little while ago now, and under the mentorship of Sandy Chong, who's actually, like my biggest client today. So it's nice to have had, like a 16-year journey with that same person right throughout my career. I worked as a hairdresser. I did my apprenticeship in Newcastle, and then I did a few years in London. After that, I came back to Australia and worked in Sydney, relocated to Sydney because I just love this city so much. And I think I probably was starting to feel the buzz was dying within me on the floor a little, but I still very much had a lot of time and respect for the industry. I just don't think, my place was actually on the floor anymore. And so I started a university degree in journalism because I was writing a lot of hair articles for different magazines, and I'd always be approached for, trends, that kind of thing. And it was something that I just really loved. It came naturally. And so the progression really started there. I guess once I'd finished my uni degree, Sandy said to me, look, we really need help with our Facebook. It's new. I'm not really sure how to start it or where to start it. Would you mind taking a look at it for me? And I did that. And within a few months, I had a few more people ask if I could, look after their Facebook. And 5 years later, I think we're managing about 35 different salon accounts, which keeps us quite busy. It's an ever-changing platform.
Was it a natural progression? Because we've talked to somebody described hair salon as being the original social media.
I'd probably agree with that, yeah.
So do you think that is a natural progression for you? To go from a salon, working with clients all the time, being very social?
Yeah, look, I do think it's a natural progression. And, I mean, I started to notice towards the end of my time in being on the floor that, clients were becoming so much more digital already. It was when iPads first launched and, people coming in using iPads and they were always on their phones, and there was definitely a culture shift at that time. And I guess it was really when social media became mainstream. Although it was around a few years before I started the business, I don't think it was in everyone's hands. Mm-hmm. Whereas now everyone has maybe at least 3 platforms they're plugged into. So it was very much a natural progression, and I think it was just a matter of osmosis. It was like, you got to keep up.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So that's a great point. You got to keep up, and we get so many questions from our viewers out there saying, what platform should I be on? How do I go about it? And there is a lot of strategy. It's just not a matter of hopping on and putting up a few posts, hey?
Absolutely. And I think this year in particular has been different to every other year that I've worked in social media, because the primary focus has been Facebook for the last 5 years. And this year the shift it's moved to Instagram. And I think that's down to the Facebook advertising platform and the way that businesses no longer have the same organic reach. The only network that they can use to facilitate that is now Instagram, which is actually kind of more hairdresser friendly in the sense that it's so super visual and it's short copy. We don't need to write a whole lot of detail because we let the image just speak for itself. Whereas on Facebook, I think there were so many things and options. There were links, there were tags, and it became a little bit more complicated and everything got lost. So Instagram, it's definitely rearing its head as, I think, our industry leader as the preferred platform.
You don't see that because Facebook own Instagram, you don't think they'll stuff around with it?
I think they will. I absolutely think that there's an advertising metric that will very much be similar to what Facebook have rolled out. It's going to take them a few years to completely implement that. Because we've only just seen Instagram ads launch within the last 6 months. And I inquired for a client of mine, the minimum spend to launch an Instagram ad is actually $10,000. So that's not a budget that small businesses can afford. However, Facebook, it's, you call the shots. You can add an advertising campaign for $5 or $500. So I think that's where Instagram will eventually take it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, we've been watching today actually just experiment with Periscope as well, because again that's another new social media which is absolutely fascinating, and we often get asked questions about sort of Facebook and the technologies and stuff, and totally agree with what everyone's saying, that we so need to keep on top of that. Right, but as busy hairdressers, I mean, I still work on the salon floor, and as a busy hairdresser, you haven't really got time to go on and make these things work maybe as professionally as you should, because sometimes I think there's just you end up being a spammer. Oh, this is my special offer, this is that, rather than the whole social media thing, what it's really about. So one of my questions to you would be, what really is social media? If you could say to someone, well, a sort of a good mini strategy just to get you started, what would be a good mini strategy for social media?
I think a good mini strategy is I take it old school when I'm introducing it to someone who's not really worked on it before, and actually print out a calendar of that month. And I go, okay, so we've got 30 to 31 days that we need to play with, and I want 20 of those days to have an individual social media goal or objective. And we actually fill in the calendar and say, okay, we've looked at the Facebook analytics. Tuesday is the strongest day for your Facebook account. So every Tuesday we are going to do one post. The following Tuesday we'll do a link. The following Tuesday after that we're going to do an album. And then we might post an event on the fourth Tuesday. So we're going to cover 4 different mediums that we can use across Facebook on the day that we know it's going to perform the best. And then we start working on the rest of the month. And we'll look at all of the past information that we can aggregate, whether it be, posts that have performed well on Facebook or Instagram, and kind of fill the month in like that. And that way, it's a really clear landscape for you to be able to say, okay, we don't want to saturate too much Facebook content in one part of the month. We want to space it out. We don't want to have too many inspirational posts around the same time. We want to have some, salon-based news featured here. And I just find that's a clean way to spread it out. And it gives the client more of a visual connection to how it's going to look across the month, because we're visual people. I mean, we don't necessarily respond well to a spreadsheet, because even I don't. 5 years in, I still can't really connect to a spreadsheet. And then from there, I think they get it. And then we go into the back end of Facebook and Instagram, and we use all of our scheduling software. And what that does is that kind of provides, the foundation for the strategy. And so because we've had that month planned out, we can then assess it the next month, see what worked and what didn't. I think that's the most simplest explanation I can give as to how to start a strategy.
Cool.
Yeah. I just think that the salon owners listening to this is thinking already, oh my gosh, can you just do it for me, Hayley? I just don't want to do this, right? Yeah. So how does that work? Because it's a new, type of business actually that's out there. So if someone wants to contact you right now and say, righto, Hayley, do this for me, please. What does that involve, and how do you do it, and how do they keep their personality through their platform too?
That's a really good question, because every brand and every company has a completely different aesthetic or a different taste that they like to execute. And that can be from the work that they produce in the salon to how they like their marketing to be. So what we have to do is create a fusion of both, which can become quite complicated. So what we've actually developed is what's called a style guide. And a style guide is a digital PDF where we give it to the client. We go, we want you to go through and we want you to pick the colours that you like. So when we're creating your visuals, we've got, the fonts in the colours that are relevant to the brand. You can choose your fonts that you want. And then we also create a digital board full of images. We say, we want you to identify which images on this page are the ones that best represent your business. What's your taste? And then I guess through a process of elimination, that's how we communicate what the brand is about. Because that you're so right. When we're doing everything that is digitally and we're not actually sitting down in meetings with our clients, I've got clients I've never even met face to face and I've worked with for 5 years. People that are over in Perth and I'm in Sydney. So it's pretty cool to be able to have that digital facilitation. So that's how we do it, just to keep the communication as clean as possible.
And then you go through and set up a strategy, is that right?
Yes.
So you work on different campaigns, and obviously you know how to set all those things up. That's what you do?
Yes. Okay. So, for example, campaigns, I'll give my clients, another style guide, and I say, okay, should we do a check-in campaign this month? Should we do a rebooking campaign? There's lots of different campaigns that are great to be rolled out on social media. And it can even be things like, building your social database, like us on Facebook and have a complimentary treatment at the basin. All of those things are actually really important. And Facebook are putting dollar values on your subscribers now. So, depending on how many you have, if you were to sell that page, which is what's going to happen as you sell your business, which I think businesses do, there's actually an aggregated dollar value to that now.
Okay, that's
really?
awesome.
Oh,
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you actually help build someone's business value as well.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
It is cool.
And one thing I would ask as well, would you, the campaigns, would they specifically be for, say, for example, say as a salon owner, I said, right, I need to increase my retail.
Yeah.
Is that where you sit down and say, okay, is it client count, retail, spend? Is that the sort of thing, yeah? Absolutely.
We'll address whatever we feel is the most relevant strategy at that time. And I actually think as we go up to Christmas, it's rebookings in January and retail throughout that Christmas period. And that's really important. So we'll be blasting out lots of stuff on Facebook, saying these are our Christmas packs. Let's do some promoted posts that, go to very specific audience segments of your Facebook page. But again, going back to hairdressers being visual, I'll always encourage my clients to actually have something in the salon which is, branded and in just like a little Perspex frame in front of there saying, these are our retail packages. If you'd like us on Facebook, you may be entitled to XYZ, and always offer an incentive with any campaign because, like any customer or consumer, unless there's an incentive or something in it for them, it's very difficult to convert them.
Yeah.
Just listening to you there, I'm seeing the huge advantage of you being a hairdresser, because for one thing you're using Hairdresser Speak, which is what they one of our advantages is in So Magazine, of course, we talk the language. And listening to you just then, that must make it so much easier for you to be able to help your clients set up campaigns.
It really does, actually. So, for example, someone will send something through and it'll be like, we're wanting to promote this balayage technique. And I'll be like, okay, so that's super easy. I'm going to just explain in, a little bit of hairdresser speak and a little bit of consumer speak about we're just going to lightly backcomb the root area and we're going to create a really soft fusion and a blend. And it's great to have that understanding of the technicality of the craft.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Huge benefit. You were just talking about Christmas, the run up to Christmas and the retail and rebooking in January, and I thought,
it's like, yay.
That's so easy. You don't have to explain it to somebody.
That's exactly right. And I think we, as hairdressers, we take it for granted that people will kind of know our seasonal changes and that kind of thing. So it's always good, and I'll always suggest around this time we need to think ahead to January. You're going to be quiet, so let's beef up the business now.
Instead of getting there and going, oh, far out. Look at my book. As we've all done at one point, I'm sure, in our life. So what is your point of difference? I know that we've just said, look, you're a hairdresser. That's got to be a major point of difference. But there's a lot of social media popping up here, there and everywhere. And, businesses out there and salons out there are looking, going, how do I choose one? How would I know if they're doing a good job? They talk all this gobbledygook about strategy and it sounds fine. So, I guess, how do you stand out from the crowd?
It's very two-faced. I mean, the industry experience is very specific to what we do amongst Australia and the hairdressing industry specifically. But in addition to that, I guess it's being on top of the way everything moves in social media. So every 3 months, Facebook actually changed a part of their algorithm, or they update their newsfeed and the server. And you'll probably know that, like, as you go on, you go, oh, that looks different today. It didn't look like that yesterday. So keeping on top of all of that, the strategy that I think sets us apart there is I have a team member who's based in America, and the Facebook algorithm is 3 months ahead there than when we get it. So she actually will say, okay, I'm logging online. I'm just going to let you know that there's actually going to be a change to the events app within Facebook, and actually really soon we're going to be able to target people that aren't even connected to the page. There's all this extra information that we get out of America, which I feel is a huge advantage. That's fantastic. I feel very, and even with Instagram, there's little changes. So a couple of weeks ago, they implemented that, you know, you didn't have to use square images any longer. You could actually work with other images, other image shapes. And so I kind of knew that was coming out. So, you know, just a month ahead of that launching in Australia, we kind of prepared some banner campaigns. And it was great to be able to say to our clients that we know that this is happening. We're just that little bit ahead of everyone else. I feel like that's a huge advantage paired with, you know, the industry knowledge. Yeah.
And of course, you're all around the world. I mean, we're mainly talking about Australia today because we all happen to be in Australia today. But you are global, yeah? Your business is global.
Yeah. No, I have 2 members that are with me in the States, and I have a team here as well. So it's great to have a partially digital arm of the business, because America's been very kind to us, and that's a part of the world where we feel we get to expand that little bit more. And I mean, those guys are just so onto it with their social. So we love our American arm. Yeah, they're very good to us.
We love our American friends too.
Yeah.
I'll send them kisses right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, apart from that, I'm having lived in the UK for a while. I go back and forth there quite a bit. So it's also great to see, like, I'll always attend events there and just see what they're doing in social. I think they do a great job of it. You know, I feel like Australia is probably viewed as we're not as strong in terms of what we can do in a technical space, but I feel that Australia is very, very strong in the skill set, in the craft of hairdressing. So I think pair the two and we're a pretty dynamic team.
So we've talked a little bit about the States, and you have some wonderful people, there's 6 Underground over there.
Yes.
Tell me, how do you stand out from the crowd in America? Because you were saying before they're really switched on over there.
Look, I think that our point of difference in the American market is, you know, with Australia being so strong in the hairdressing craft, you know, we have such great images to draw from. And salons over there run quite differently because it's mostly rent a chair. So we kind of create, I guess, a platform for small businesses in America to promote themselves, and we know how to do that quite well, in addition to being available at different time periods. So if we have American companies that we're looking after, you know, while they're sleeping and they're doing their thing over in the US, we're awake and we're working. So we've kind of got like a 24/7 control and eyeballs on those pages, which is really good because, I mean, social media is the ultimate platform for someone to complain. That's where they want their voice to be heard. And no business is without that, ever. You know, every business is going to have an unhappy client at some stage that's probably going to take to social media. So it's all about how we handle it. And, you know, having so many different brands that we work across and having the team in the US, I make sure that, you know, while we're resting and while we've got our weekends, they're kind of keeping an eye on that. So that's been very advantageous. Yeah. And vice versa, you know, like our Australian-based businesses to have the US team keeping an eye on them, you know, late at night, early in the morning. It's really good.
Yeah. So say you have somebody complain on the social media page. What is the worst thing somebody could do with that?
Delete it.
Okay.
And it seems like instinctively that's the first thing you want to do. Just go, oh, get rid of it because then I don't have to deal with it. Not only does that fire up the person that's written it even more because you've taken away their voice, but they're only going to find another way to get their message out there. So I think if you deal with it in the most professional manner possible and actually explain to your audience as you go, we're really sorry that you weren't happy with your service, and our main objective is to make sure all of our customers are happy. I think that kind of eliminates any issues straight away, because if anyone's reading that and were possibly going to be critical of it, they'd be like, no, because they're doing everything they can. That's, yeah, I think the worst thing you can do is delete the comment, because it's only going to, make the situation worse. I actually heard someone speak the other day. They had one disgruntled client who did 20 reviews online, like went around to Yelp, Yellow Pages, all of them, and left reviews. So, yeah, there's a lot of power in a negative review. And actually, that's one of the campaigns that we do is, Facebook reviews, and it's encouraging and incentivizing, your really happy clients to talk about your brand using review platforms, because that's outside of Facebook. That actually helps with your Google search engine optimization as well.
Right,
Okay,
wow,
good.
yeah, awesome. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you was about video, because video is playing a big part now of Facebook and social media generally.
It is, yeah.
Particularly with like Periscope coming about and stuff. So, when you're doing video, how important is it the way that you portray yourself on video? I mean, is it okay just to use your phone?
I think it is. I mean, I think that, we don't all have access to, these amazing resources, and a phone is an amazing resource. I mean, I think as long as you stay true to your brand, I love it when salons do those fast track videos that they've shot themselves, and you kind of see this amazing transformation. Now, if you've got an iPhone, that's an amazing tool that you can utilize. Post that on Facebook and you'll get a 75% higher cut-through rate to an organic audience than what you will from an image. And that's really powerful. Yep. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And then if you wanted to put a little bit of money behind it, that's when you'll probably find that it goes viral.
Oh, really? Wow.
So is that something you talk about during your strategy? Do you say, do a video on that day there, or is that more something that they have to do themselves? How does that work?
Look, we need them to provide us with the content. So, yes, it is something that they'll have to do themselves. And I find people are more inclined to do it when they go to a parade or they're backstage doing something. But I think clients want to see work in the salon. I think that's what they relate to, and that kind of connects them with the brand a little bit more. So I definitely agree. Video is a huge part of your content development, and I would want to see a minimum of 2 videos a month on every single page that we look after. If our clients aren't up to or don't feel comfortable shooting that themselves, then what we do is we take a collection of their images and we'll create a video. And we'll do a 30-second edit for Facebook, a 15-second edit for Instagram.
Okay.
Right. Cool.
So it sounds to me you have different packages available for different budgets and things.
Absolutely. I'd like to think, because I'm a small business too, that we're never unaffordable for anyone. It's depending on what someone's budget is, we'll cater something to that budget. As small as it might be, it'll still make a difference. So, for example, we've got Instagram packages that start at about $80 a week. But if we had a client that said, you know what, I just don't have that right now, then we'd be like, okay, let's do something that's out over a month, and then we'll just track it. And as soon as they start to see the results, there's actually a return on the investment anyway, and so they'll see the value in going to a weekly package. But yeah, we do have a whole heap of different packages available, just so that everyone has the opportunity to use our services.
Okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
so I think that people's fingers are dialing you or emailing you before they even finish watching this interview. So a couple of questions just to finish up. Which platform must everyone be on?
Instagram.
So Instagram is it?
Instagram. Look, I never thought I'd say that. I thought I'd be, a Facebook diehard to the very end. But the movement and the change that shifted in the social space in the last 6 months tells me Instagram is actually where you'll convert a lot more people. And it's like a conversion in sales. And I read an article the other day that said when people are looking for a new hairdresser, they'll go to Google and then they go to Instagram.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah. So it's the second used search engine tool to find a new salon.
Wow.
Which, my little tip there is, when you're posting on Instagram and you're wanting to promote your salon, always hashtag the suburb and the city that you're in, because when people are looking to find something locally, they'll look for that.
Wow. Great tip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool tip.
So how does everyone contact you, either wherever in the world they are? How do they get in contact?
I mean, please do email me. My email address is Hayley, Hayley, at 6underground.net.au. Our website is 6underground.net.au. So all of our information is there, and you can actually contact us directly. Obviously, we're on Facebook.
Yeah.
Pinterest, not Periscope.
How do you keep up all your own platforms?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's I have to really rely on the team for that, because I just can't do it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. You've got to practice what you preach, and keeping up our own platforms, it becomes a struggle because your clients are the priority, and so you kind of put your own marketing on the back burner sometimes. But yeah, I'm making a very conscious effort to be up to date.
Yeah.
Hayley, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
You've shared some great information. It's been wonderful virtually meeting you and getting to know more about your business.
Nice.
And we look forward to hopefully talking again soon, because I think you've got some wonderful tips there to share our viewers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hayley. Take
Thanks,
care.
Hayley.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.